What an incredible panel. I am so honored to be here with such amazing women that really have a vision on how to change the paradigm and move forward. And I think all we need now is action behind that vision and a collective force. So there's so many incredible people here. I am grateful to be here. This is my first AREDAY event. Very grateful to Chip and Verushka for including me. Before I get started, I just wanted to read one of my favorite quotes right now. Knowing that you love the earth changes you, activates you to defend and protect and celebrate. But when you feel that the earth loves you in return, that feeling transforms the relationship from a one-way street into a sacred bond. And that's from the book Braiding Sweetgrass. And it's the, you know, we are doing so much for the environment as our group here, everybody speaking, and just remembering how much Mother Nature and nature loves us in return, and how healing nature is for all of humanity, and of course, how important it is for us to preserve it. So I'm going to show a film today. It's a short documentary based on a foundation that I have. It's a 501c3 based in California. We do solar power initiatives for students and communities that live without electricity access. The film will share the story about the program. Before I start, a little bit about myself. I am from British Columbia, Canada. I grew up in a very small pulp and paper town in central BC. My older brother is First Nations. He is from the Gitxsan tribe from Hazelton, British Columbia. And my niece and nephew are also status card First Nations. And my niece is like the daughter that I don't have, and she is one of my most cherished family members. There's no way I can stand here and represent Indigenous people, but my family members are Indigenous people, and I believe in the wisdom and the knowledge that Indigenous people carry, and how important it is to weave that back into our story here in the Americas and what happened. And we've talked a lot about narratives and stories, and one of the things that keeps coming to my mind is this Christopher Columbus story. Is there any way we can reframe that or you know, tell the true story of a sophisticated society already here and a colonizer coming and claiming this as a discovery? It just doesn't make sense. And I think if we can go back and start to change these initial pillars of the narrative, it may have a wave effect of the stories that have been told since then around what actually happened. Yes, and coming from British Columbia, as far as climate change, we've had one of the worst fire seasons that we've ever had this year. We had half of the Northwest Territories evacuated. We had central British Columbia all evacuated, and the fires are so bad that it's producing huge amounts of carbon. I've been staying up in Vancouver, Canada. Every summer, the last 3 summers, we've been smoked in. The ash is falling on the glaciers, which is making them melt way faster than they've ever melted before. The glaciers are the water source for many communities. So while my film will outline my work in Kenya, working with nomadic and semi-nomadic people in the north, I'm seeing before my eyes the country that I'm from being devastated by climate change and climate refugees in our own communities as a result. So it's a very important topic, and I'm grateful that I have a foundation that I'm able to do some small part with my means. So without further ado, I will present the film, which is about our Solar Light program in northern Kenya, working with students and youth who don't have access to electricity at home or at school.
Marsabit, the northernmost region of Kenya, a land without electricity, a land of darkness, and we bring light.
kaza kabisa.
Today is such a great day. We've just left Nairobi on our way to Marsabit.
I've been to a lot of places, met a lot of people, spent time in Abu Dhabi, London, Ethiopia, but it's here in Kenya that I really feel at home. Something about the land and the smiles of the people. We traveled many long hours to the north, what is known as the last mile region.
I started Fasal to meet the needs of the people in northern Kenya for the past 10 years. Solar light is so needful in that area. I'm very grateful to Nicole for the funds to get the solar lights.
My name is Nicole Watson, and I am the founder of the Econic Earth Foundation. We're an organization dedicated to environmental and wildlife conservation. One of our main agendas is students and communities and empowering them through renewable energy.
She has got heart of helping people. Benedict introduced us.
We met with Nicole in 2016, and quickly I proposed to her, can we look into solar lights for rural communities between Econic Earth, my organization, Green Sun Cities, and Fasal.
Solar is important because it's a clean solution to provide electricity for communities. I traveled to Kenya to do an initial survey. I met with Martha. She welcomed me with open arms. I was convinced that this was a program that we needed to get on board with.
When I started driving the road north with the family, it was dirt and gravel. It would take us 2 days, sometimes 3 to reach Marsabit. Now it's paved, so the journey takes around 8 hours. Marsabit County is home to around 500,000 people and is situated around an extinct volcano which rises almost a kilometer above the desert, with a forested area home to local elephant herds. The students we serve are mainly from the Rendile, Borana, Gabra, Sakuye, and Burji tribes.
Martha, she's got the energy of 10 women all together.
I am the first girl from Marsabit who went to high school. I had that desire of starting a community organization, so I started an NGO to help my people. Marsabit is a marginalized area. The people there don't have much. Most of the people are pastoralists. They lack water and grass for their animals. The only light the students get is from firewood.
Some of the problems that we face as we study is lack of light. We can use fire or lamps. It requires kerosene, so maybe you don't have the money to buy the kerosene.
Some also use moonlight. So when there is moonlight, you see most of them coming outside with their books, trying to see the struggle with that little light.
When you are studying outside, anything can happen to you. There is scorpions, snake bites.
Risk of elephants, hyenas, sometimes even lions are there in the bush.
People don't do assignments. Girls used to perform very poorly.
We don't have electricity. We only did wiring, connections, but we don't have the actual power.
You say the government installed them and then they don't.
And then they go away. They tell the school to own and repair and maintain, but the school have no capacity. These are the type of parents we have.
Yet now we bring light, and when the kids see me pull up into the community, they get so excited and run after me because they know the solar lights are coming.
kwa sababu mimi najua shida ambayo inatoka hapa Marsabit, na tumeona hiyo lights iwasaidia watoto sana, na hata nimesikia hapa ambaye.
As part of the delivery of the Solar Light program, we make sure that the parents, the students, and the teachers are all present. We present the light, how it works, explaining to the parents the importance that the student keep the light with them. And part of that was the student needs to bring the light to school to charge in the day and bring it home at night to study with. We also liaise with the teachers to monitor the performance of the students over the school year, specifically focused on their performance in the national exams.
I was the contact on the ground to reporting and forcing implementation on the lights distribution, on the impact to students, to bring technology that will make our solar light distribution efficient.
And so they would report to us the grades and the scoring that each of the students was receiving.
Solar light, it impacts the students because they are able to study and the results are just amazing.
We have got a lot of girls who are educated due to the solar lights. In our village, it's the culture for the girl child not to go to school.
They are married off when they are young. There are so many who drop out.
The boy child is supposed to go to school, learn, and then come back to help the parents. AREDAY, she's young, but she performs well. The competition between boys and girls increases, and they have really challenged the girl child also to come to school and do the best.
Our girls performed better than the boys. Despite all these challenges, they also broke the tradition whereby boys must always lead. This time it's the other way around.
The kids in Marsabit, they're writing the national exams, which allow them to get into high school. They're competing with kids in Nairobi that have access to electricity 24/7, access to computers.
There is high improvement. Now they can manage to go to high schools very comfortably.
Since we got the solar, we have about 10 kids going to national schools. Before, they were not going anywhere.
I managed to join university with the help of ASAL. When I'm done with my studies, I can go back to my village. I can help my fellow girls. I can rescue them from the FGM and early marriages and know the importance of education.
The saying goes that if you educate the girl, you help the community and also the country at large. Their life is changed.
To think we can change a student's life by getting them something as simple as a chargeable solar light to read at night motivates all of us to keep coming back, even with all the challenges we face in getting here.
It's a struggle to fundraise. It's a challenge to coordinate international teams, to put all these programs together. But it's changed the entire functioning and the scope of the village. When the lights are now in the home, it's safety within the home and safety outside of the home.
Shukuru na nantungana cho bangyarang sola yam guduma bagangyarang rana somare bagadagmaza sagore velo na nigaranganya ba yo botu.
The solar lights have helped us to prevent pregnancy due to some men. They are called warriors who used to rape to the girls. They can do that under the darkness. But now you light the solar and then now you sleep comfortably and with no worry.
These people have an entire life in darkness when the sun goes down. The elders even came to us and said, this is a whole new world. We can actually see each other when we're talking. We can see each other's expressions. These lights have brought in something that connects the whole family together.
It's so amazing, the impact the solar lights does. I'm just overwhelmed. I'm, happy how much it has helped people.
My hope and vision for the Solar Light program is to continue to expand it within Kenya to new off-grid regions. Within another 2 years, we will start expanding that program internationally and continue to impact students' lives.
Each time we return to the city, the team is glowing, our hearts more full, and we're reminded how important this work is. I've traveled nearly 500,000 miles, and I'm not sure how many more trips I have left in me. But hopefully enough to see these youngsters we've helped return to help their communities.
When I finish my education, I want to be a doctor.
I want to be a teacher when I grow up.
Great. I don't know how to put this back. So yes, this outlines our program in Northern Kenya, and like a lot of the women we're talking about, collaboration and partnership with local organizations and also community level is really important. I was featured a lot here in the film, but I go in and out a lot less, and I do whatever I can just to empower the local community, work with community leaders like Martha, and do what we can with what we have. So was there any questions or thoughts? I've got about 2 minutes. If not, I can also just talk a little bit about there's a lady there.
That was amazing, and I just came in a little bit late. So I would like to know your name and the name of your company or your corporation. Or
My name is Nicole Watson, and I have a 501c3 based in California called the Econic Earth Foundation. And we do solar power initiatives for students that live without electricity access. And I'm very passionate about environmental and wildlife conservation, so we're looking to integrate wildlife conservation, some programs into the Solar Light program also.
What's after Kenya?
What's after Kenya? Well, we want to expand in Kenya just because there's so much need in the last mile region. There are, and I also have a very strong team in place. So, I mean, if the funding was available and we could expand internationally, great. But for now, I have a very strong team. There's a lot of need. We know the lay of the land now. I've been working there for 4 years. And I did a project in India before that, bringing solar into a trafficking rescue, and also did a documentary about that. Yeah, it's also, I have my nonprofit, but I've worked in the film industry on and off for about 20 years in all different capacities. So I try and make films about the projects we do to bring light to our partners, to share a story, and create something that we can communicate what we're doing with the world. Yeah.
What do you do to raise money?
To raise money. I annoy a lot of my friends. At this point, I've had private donors. I would love to have grants. I've not been able to, or I've not moved into grant funding. I've been lucky to have a couple really strong private donors that gave us a lump sum, and then when that runs out, I hustle and hustle and hustle and try and fundraise with all my contacts. I do Facebook fundraisers, but we really want to amp up this program, and we were trying to work with this German group who represented over 100 solar companies, and we were looking for corporate sponsors, but this is not happening as of yet, and we want to expand this program, scale it incredibly, and we have the ability to do that. We just need the funding now, so I think it'll come through. Yeah, and I mean, there's one creative note about the film. There was kind of that English narrative voice, which I was a little bit mixed on. You know, I don't know if you guys knew what character that was, the narration of the voice in the film. Did anyone pick that up? So we created a character around the old Defender truck because that was Martha's husband's truck, and it was like a member of the family. So we auditioned a number of Kenyan voiceover actors, and because the old Defender truck was a British truck, we ended up selecting somebody who, he had lived in Hong Kong, South Africa, but he was of British descent, and I was kind of mixed because of, Britain had colonized Kenya, but at the end of the day, our team discussed it, and we thought, okay, it is a British vehicle, so we'll go with it. But yeah, we wanted to create a little more of a storytelling element, not just a straight NGO documentary, so we created a character around the truck, but so far nobody's gotten it, but yes, please.
That's a wonderful documentary. What is the average cost per unit of the solar?
The solar lights?
Yes, a solar light plus the shipping cost to get to Kenya.
So we buy our solar lights in Kenya. I so far have found everything we need we can buy locally. It mitigates having to pay import tax or deal with customs, immigration, all this stuff of bringing stuff in. The lights cost approximately $5 each. They have a 2-year warranty, and they last about 5 years. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now. And it's good when we buy them in country because they ship them to the site. And if there's broken lights, we work with the school teachers in each school. So if there's a broken light, the student can return it, and we can exchange it with the company. And if we imported large amounts of lights, I don't know if we'd have that ability. So, and depending on the dollar fluctuation, it can go between $4 and $5 a piece. Yeah. Yes?
Shall I wait for the microphone, or can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
I think it's a wonderful story because it shows how little things can make huge differences in people's lives. So I commend you. I think it's a beautiful thing. I know one of the problems, or I understand one of the problems in settlements like this is refrigeration for medicines and things like that. Is there any plan to go to PV level solar for these communities?
Yes. So there's a larger story behind that, but I've been running my NGO for 8 years. I got to a point where I became quite frustrated asking people for money all the time, and I thought, okay, I need to amp up, some other skills here. So during COVID, I went back to school and I did an executive MBA in sustainability for business, and I was looking at for-profit business models that were still sustainable and impacted people and planet. And through that process, and for the master's report, I developed a company which were off-grid solarized hubs, which I am aiming to launch as a startup. I just need a seed fund. And medical units is one of the types of hubs that we're looking at. And because I've been working with nomadic communities, I haven't been to Mongolia, but I'm kind of obsessed with Mongolia at the moment, and just these nomadic types of communities. I thought, okay, the mini grids that are being offered right now, they have to wire into everybody's hut, and people can't afford to pay monthly. They're seasonal, they get seasonal income, and they're also nomadic, so sometimes they leave. So why don't we create something where all the people can come to the hub, get services, get medicine, charge motorbikes, access telecom, charge their phones, and have something that's modular and mobile, so if the community moves on, we can pick up that hub, move it to another location. If the community is using that hub really well, we can start to bring in other hubs, each hub having about 10 kilowatt hour. And if we need more power, then we can put a grid next to it that will power the hub. So medical units is one I'm looking at. I did my MBA in Switzerland, and I went to the startup community called Biopol, where all the medical tech companies were, to look at that time, I almost had a Swiss investor who's still kind of on the peripheral. And all the med tech companies were very excited because they want to get into Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, Zambia, and they have all this med tech technology, but there's no electricity. So how are they bringing their drones with the blood samples, or refrigerating their vaccinations, or charging the phones that are collecting all the data on these apps? So when they heard about what we want to do, they're like, oh, yes, we need you, we need companies like you. And so I would like to launch that, and if you can introduce me to a seed funder, we can get it going.
Good on you.
Thanks.
What level of funding is seed funding?
We were aiming for a higher amount, like $500,000 to get started. My last trip to Kenya was February, and now we're looking for $200,000, where we could get 2 hubs in operation. And once they're in operation, we can drive enough media attention and have a proof of concept that then we can go for green funding, grants, and other options. So essentially now we are looking for 200. We're happy to take more and expand whatever. But also some of the partners in Kenya, they say if we go in with a smaller amount, we can slip in without the government putting their hands all over us. If we come in with a larger, like millions, 2 million, 1 million, even 500,000, the government's going to put more hands on us to have their cut, or make it more red tape for us to do what we want to do. And we really want to work on the community level and give people access where they're not obligated. Their huts are not wired in. They're not forced to have to pay these monthly payments. They can use it as they may. And create jobs. I mean, we would hire local. We get approval from the chief. The chief helps appoint the security person on the hub. Yes? Sure. So India was our first project. It was kind of when I was founding the organization. I had a film company at the same time producing content. And my partner for that, he was a retired lawyer. He helped me found Econic Earth. We were in discussion with a solar company at that time. They had a project in India. It was for a trafficking rescue in Calcutta, India, and they had about 113 survivors that were coming from Nepal, Bangladesh, India, and they wanted to put solar on the building. I am very much in environmental and wildlife conservation, and I like working with communities who are on the front lines of environment and wildlife, but this project drew me, and we thought, okay, we'll launch with this project. So it was, again, a grouping. We had the solar company, we had the Indian organization, Sunlap India, we had Sunlap North America, and Econic Earth, which we were fairly new, but we facilitated the solar coming in, made a documentary about the founder, also an incredible woman, goes into the red light district and deals with all the nastiness, as well as into the courts and deals with judges and lawyers. And yes, and then we put that in and filmed a documentary, and now I keep liaison with the project there. But Kenya is more, once we moved into Kenya, I was more like, yes, this is, we're out in the wild, we're in the environment, the kids are dealing with, hyena, elephant, other animals, are using the lights to scare them away. We're working in schools, we're bringing in tree planting in alignment with the solar light distribution. And after this project, I also built a school and library. But it's the solar light program that we can really scale, and we get access to the schools, the students, we can bring in other programs, we listen to what they need, and there's just a lot more scale. When we built the school and library, the community asked for it, actually. We were gonna build a small charging station, and I sat with all the elders, and they said, no, Nicole, we don't want a charging station, we want a school. So we thought, okay, that was our kind of final plan, was to do this thing, but we went back, looked at the budget, and we thought, okay, this is what the community wants. And one of the elders was gonna donate the land, and I said, let's do it. We have to listen to the people. I don't go in and tell people what they need, they tell me. And I do whatever means I have, I help. I'm not wealthy by any means, but I have time and energy and a passion to help people, so, yeah.